Shout out to my family, to the Crazy Hill Productions crew, Drink Champs crew. Ya tu sabe, I'm doing this for Dade County 305 Miami in the mother building. Let's go.
So we going.
And we gone.
So that was a quick clip from the 2022 BET Hip Hop Awards where Drink Champs took home Hip Hop Platform of the Year.
Yeah.
We did it, guys. We did it.
It's a big look, E.
Thank you.
So first and foremost, congratulations to you and N.O.R.E. and the whole team, because it's a big
Team
effort.
Yep.
Sure.
But it was a beautiful night. Like, I know we're gonna probably get into it a little bit more now, just coming right off of all the.
Actually, there is a lot of behind the scenes getting there and all that involves family and all that.
Yeah. So that's where I wanted to take it. I wanted to start there, because even as you approach the stage and the first words that you uttered were "shout out to my family," and knowing you and having our background conversations, we know how difficult it is for you to be away from your family, how much that weighs on you, and how strategic you are about any moment you're away from them. Like, you're really calculated about what opportunities you take and how you plan and all that kind of stuff. What was going through your mind as you were in that moment, and how did that translate to family life? Because like you said, there's a bunch of what's going on that had to do with family as well. Like, take us through it a little bit.
Well, I mean, for me, in this point in my life, pretty much everything I do, I'm doing it with how, the idea of how this affects my family. Everything I do. And then being there, traveling to Atlanta and being at the awards, it's like, whenever I take myself away from my family, it has to be well worth it, because everything I do is for my family. So that is, the first thing that I'm going to mention is my family, because, shout out to them, because they are now my driving force to what I do. I don't know if that explains it properly.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, great.
But leading up to that moment, it was wild, because the hurricane was coming to Florida. We pre-recorded the awards on Friday of last week. So when this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks from now. So the hurricane was coming through. It was supposed to hit us it hit us on Thursday. We didn't know what level of impact it was going to have on us. So leading up to the planning of even going to the awards and going to Atlanta, there's a hurricane coming that could affect, my family, my home, whatever. And, you got to make decisions. But luckily, we saw pretty quickly it wasn't gonna hit us directly. So then it became a whole thing of whether I was gonna be able to leave or not because of the weather and all that. But so you just have all this stress, and it's all really just making sure the family's safe, and then you're in one mind state, on an emergency mode, and the kids aren't in school, they missed school because of the early storms that were coming in, that we were getting those bands, those feeder bands from the hurricane a day before, and they were pretty bad. Actually, we got pretty bad weather 24 hours before the storm hit Florida because of how big it was in those feeder bands. And we got some minor damage in our backyard because of it. But so you go into that mind state, and then you gotta switch, and you gotta hop on a plane, and even every time I hop on, I don't know if this is the same for you guys. Every time I hop on a plane, I'm just saying to myself, I'm putting my life at risk in flight, and I care not about my life necessarily. If something were to happen to me, the impact on my kids, on my family,
right?
So and then you go to the awards, and then and hip hop, unfortunately, has been pretty violent lately.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of violence that's happened. I mean, it's happening in society at large. It's not just hip hop, but it's targeting hip hop artists and stuff like that. So you worry about what's the security like at this event. Man, the security was phenomenal. It was actually a little outrageous to an extent, but I'd rather it be a little bit overly done than under, Like they had.
Did you enjoy the cavity search, or was it a little uncomfortable?
Dude, they had the dogs.
Oh, so we're just gonna ignore it.
Dog sniffing cars, lines of cars before you could even get in the area of the venue.
Damn. Okay, Obama.
And
Obama was in the building.
and it didn't matter who you were because my car pulled up and I was working the event. I was a part of the event, and they were like, "We don't give a damn who you are. You got to get in the back of that line, and each car is gonna get searched by these dogs." And then you get in there, and then they had security on this premise, go through metal detectors at a couple points. So the security was perfect. But again, all these things are like, you're just saying to yourself, am I putting myself out there, and is it worth it for my family? Like, what I am doing here, is it going to benefit my family? In the long run, everything went well. Everything was great. Shout out to the BET production staff and everybody involved. It was a great event. I was there all day. I was doing rehearsals. I was there from 11 in the morning till like 9:30 at night.
Damn.
Yeah, because we did rehearsals all day, and then you couldn't leave because the security was so crazy. To leave would have been ridiculous. So you just stay there, and then then the show, when it starts, they like tape through all the way. They kind of tape it as if it was live.
Got it.
And then once my parts were over, I wasn't needed, I left the venue.
Oh, okay. Were you chilling in the audience at all at any point?
Chilled before our nomination came up, because they wanted the camera view of us sitting there, and we got to show us our reaction whether we won or lost, and then if we won, we walk up from there. But then right when we won, escorted backstage, we're in the dressing room, and then we were brought back on stage. We did these 2 skits that they made like a Drink Champs table, which I think was super dope. Yeah, it's free promo for Drink Champs. We had a really great look overall at the awards. I was surprised they put my face and my name in the intro reel with a horrible picture, but hey, whatever, that's on them. They couldn't pick a better picture of me, but cool, whatever. At least I was included. That was unexpected, the nomination, and then we did these 2 skits, one before Yo Gotti's camp performed, and one before Pusha T and the Clips performed, which was dope.
I still haven't caught the replay. I gotta go watch it. So how was it doing a Drink Champs skit? It was Fat Joe, right? Fat Joe was the mock guest.
I'm dying back here.
Don't die. Hold on. Go ahead. Let the coughing go. Just sip a little water. You feel good? Because I asked you a question, so either you didn't hear me or you just taking a break.
I think he said he's dying.
He's really going through it right now. Well, in the meantime.
All right. Well, actually, let's segue. We'll come back to E when he's can talk.
No, I'm back.
Okay. All right.
I was trying to say that my kids were sick, so that added to the equation.
I feel like it would be more shocking if you said your kids weren't sick. The amount of times your kids are sick.
It's true.
Yeah, you're in that little kid sick zone right now.
Yeah. So what were you asking me, Manny?
No,
What were you asking me?
Just real quick. I just want to know, like,
real quick, bro.
The skit was you guys were interviewing, like a mock interview, Drink Champ style. Fat Joe was the guest.
Yeah, that was the what it was supposed to look like. Actually, they edited it down. I had more of a talking piece with Joe for the first one.
Questioning his Cubanism?
No, because we rehearsed it and they cut that down. But yeah, that's what it was. And it was cool though. They had the logo behind us. They had the table. They even made candles with Fat Joe as the saint.
Oh shit! Oh, damn! They really went all out. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
Nice. All right, well.
And then just I can't complain, man. Like people showed us love there, from artists from our generation to young artists to the production people to the security in the venue. Like I really felt like, damn, people were telling me you won before we won. I was like, nah, shout out $1 Million Worth of Game. I saw them. I was like, man, they could easily win it. Yeah. People were like, nah, y'all got this. So it was really cool. It was a cool experience, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's dope. It was March 2015 the podcast started?
March 15th, 2016.
2016.
Yeah, we're 6 years in.
Okay. That's dope. All right. Sorry. Let's flip the script a little bit. Kay, you had something I think on your mind.
I wanted to bring back up that audio message you sent through the chat last week about your daughter and her shoes.
Oh,
Where you strike again with like canceling vacations and shit like that.
Oh, you canceled another one?
all right.
It was similar in nature.
I even forgot about it. All right, let me take you through it quickly. So, my daughter orders a new pair of basketball kicks because she's a basketball player and she needed a new pair of kicks. So, they arrive at the house. We have stairs that lead up into our bedrooms, and so I'm like the fucking psycho here in my house where I'm like, yo, keep the stairs clear because any given moment somebody's going up or down and you can hurt yourself. Right. So let's keep them clear. And so I have a rule, like if whatever you put on the stairs to take upstairs, you don't do by the time everybody goes to bed, I'm throwing in the garbage. Everybody's clear on it. Everybody knows. So my daughter leaves her new kicks on the stairs. And the next morning I see them and I'm like, do I throw them out? So I tucked them away somewhere. And she comes home from school hours later and she's like looking for her kicks all over the house. She finally comes to me. She's like, Dad, where'd you put my sneakers? And I'm like, oh no, they're gone. Garbage man came and got them earlier because I told you, like, it's garbage time when you don't pick up after yourself. And then she looks at me like destroyed, like devastated. She starts to walk away. And I'm like, oh, these sneakers? And I pull them out of wherever I had them. But she's like, yo, I looked everywhere. How the hell did you find them so fast? And I'm like, yo, look, just don't do it no more. And she was like, I got it. Like, she was like, it will never happen again. But I definitely tormented the shit out. Like, if you saw her face, you would have probably been like, yo, Manny, that was too far. Because she looked like her world just ended. And they weren't cheap. And this was out of her own money. So that really like turned the knife in her. How long do you think she was probably relieved, but how long do you think it took for her to not be mad at you after that? That's a good question. So I checked in with her like 15 minutes later to get a read on how she was feeling. And either she was very good at lying, which she's not. She usually wears her emotions on her sleeve. But she seemed back to her normal self. But I thought about it because I was like, yo, I'd be crazy heated if it was me in her shoes. But yeah, I'm a bit of an extra kind of parent. I mean, do you think there'll come a time where at a certain age you can't pull those kind of things because it's just going to make her, like, you guys might have even a bigger rift because she might hold on to that kind of, whereas when they're younger, seems like that stuff kind of could roll off easier. But it's a great question, and I think I'm excuse me, I think I'm very close to the edge of where I can't do it anymore. Yeah, because there's little things now that I'll do that I've done historically that, to annoy them or to like mess with them, and with her outbursts sometimes are warranted, and I gotta fall back and be like, that went too far, and then I gotta scale it all back. So I think we're getting there. And it's kind of a rude awakening too, because you get into your mode, right? You always think your kids are small, right? Even though they're growing up so fast in front of you. So you got to pivot in how you joke with them, or the kinds of ways you engage with them, because it's not going to hit the same. And at some point you're going to strike a nerve, and then you got to eat that shit because you're kind of in the wrong. What do you think the pivot would be for something like, so if that's kind of like take the shoes, for example, is it more of just matter of fact, like, hey, next time you do this, I don't know. It's weird. Like, how do you pivot when you're so used to disciplining a certain way? I think for me and our relationship with my eldest daughter, it's got to be more around just reminder and leave it at that. Not consequences, not threats, just right. Like, yo, how many times we've been through? I might hit her with a little like, yo, you're not 6 years old no more. And that's the extent to which I think I can do it, because now she's grown. Like, she teetering on adulthood, especially like how she moves, her responsibilities, the way she conducts herself. So I have to level up as well and kind of give her that freedom still trying to keep the sort of routines that we expect in our household, but not really sweat her the way I could sweat my younger two.
You just reminded me of something that I wanted to read to you guys. Let's see if you guys don't mind.
Oh, of course.
Not that.
It's a good album.
Thanks. So you saying that reminds me of like my daughter. Like I've recently, when they're little, you're watching them 24/7. They got to be within eyes distance, definitely ears distance. But we have a 2-story home, and I would normally never let her go, be upstairs or downstairs by herself. And over the past maybe few weeks, she has this whole thing where she wants to like get stuff from her room, and usually I wouldn't let her go upstairs by herself. I'm also that paranoid parent that thinks that the worst is gonna happen when they're going up the stairs.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna fall, slip, break their head, whatever. So now I feel like, I'm telling myself I gotta give her a little bit of freedom and and trust her a little bit. And yeah, she goes upstairs now and she'll be up there for a little bit, and to me it's new. It's something new. It seems like something simple, but to me it's something new. While I look for this, you guys talking while I cough my brains out over here.
Well, you can hear us, right? Because I have similar, and probably you do too, Kay. I mean, there's certain things that you're just not comfortable allowing your kid to like jump up and do, even though for a normal, regular or older person, it's not a big deal.
Like what? What do you mean? Like
I mean, like, I don't know. For instance, all right, here's an example. Like in my house, we have a basketball hoop outside of the garage, right? And there's a hill that you got to kind of come up to. That's my driveway to get to, right? And so I'm not all the way comfortable with my youngest being out at the basketball hoop by herself.
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Right. Where my 9-year-old, more comfortable. My teenager, very comfortable. And so it's not that big a deal. But then when you start to think like, all right, somebody could roll up, snatch the 6-year-old and be gone before she could even realize what's going on. 9-year-old, maybe a little more difficult. Teenager, a little more difficult. But there's a balance. You kind of have to like put situations in play where you can extend some of that trust while still having some peace of mind and figuring out the best way to do that. And
it's called a tracking device, which is what I'm using right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh yeah.
I bought those for Disney.
Wait. Tell me more.
Yeah, no. I mean, so, and this is all kind of new because of the move and everything. Like where we live now, it's a little more suburb. There's not so many people. There's neighbors around and stuff, but there's more room to spread out and move around. And we're trying to give them a little bit more independence, because previously, we were on a block. There's a lot of people around. There's a lot of sketchy people roaming around. Like he couldn't go outside on his own. There always had to be someone checking, with him at all times. So, yeah, we got him a watch, that you can, basically it's a GPS watch. We set like who he can, like we maintain it. So our numbers and a couple other trusted numbers are in there, so he can text and call, that kind of thing. But it's also got GPS and you can do live tracking on it. So, he's been starting to learn the neighborhood a little bit. I'm letting him go off on his bike and ride around, which is something I would never do previously. But I put the live tracking on and I can see exactly, where he's going and at least have an idea of what he's doing. But I'm trying to let him have a little more freedom, but because we can, based on
you feel
where
more
we
comfortable.
are. Yeah.
Is that the Gizmo watch?
It's like that. It's like the T-Mobile version of it.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a struggle, man. Cause like, we moved to better areas as adults to have the ability to give our kids more freedom.
Yep.
More safety, more peace of mind. But we can't get, I'm speaking for myself, and I feel like we agree, we can't get those like concerns dealt with enough because the real world is evolving so fast and so many things are happening. Like it's hard to just be like, yo, let me let it go.
Plus, the serial killers live in the
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Serial killers are our neighbors, right?
Right.
But like you remember
sorry,
like
go ahead.
kids riding bikes and
Yeah,
all that
No,
kind of
The
stuff.
old days are never coming back, and the old days probably weren't safe.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. You just turned a blind eye to it, a lot of
Right.
people, because it was like, yo, what else? I got to go to work. I got to
Because
get
the
my
crap
kids.
I was doing out there with that freedom was wild when I
Yeah.
think back on it, and I wouldn't want my kids doing that.
No,
I mean,
I saw the
I mean-
police records. Shit was crazy for you.
I mean, I can even remember walking back from like elementary school and I would use, when I passed cars, I'd use the car window reflection to see who's behind me, kind of thing.
I remember that. Yep.
And there were times where I'd feel like, all right, there's someone following me, you know, that kind of stuff. And you get freaked out, but you just knew, all right, let me speed it up and get out of here.
But let me read this to you guys. So my daughter, with this goes kind of along the lines of this whole freedom conversation, but my daughter's also, she's been, you know, acting out more, having some behavioral issues, that we're just like having problems figuring out. Like she's just demanding and doesn't want to listen and saying no to things. And, you know, you as a parent, you just want to like whip them into shape. And so my girl sent me this thing she saw on IG, which makes sense to me to a degree. And I just want to get your take on it. So it's a slide and it says, the first slide says, I really hope your kids are triggering you. The next slide says, I hope that sometimes they push back, defy your wishes, and do what they want to do rather than what you want them to do. Then it says, want to know why? Because it tells me that you're not raising fearful, obedient robots. It tells me your kid feels safe and confident enough with you to be assertive and authentic, and that they are comfortable with pushing back against the status quo and willing to follow their impulse. I know those challenging moments are hard, but be careful not to extinguish that fire fully. It will be the same fire that gets them out of an unsafe relationship, the same fire that helps them leave a toxic job or boss. And while their defiance and adamance are triggering now, those qualities might be life-changing later. Want to raise assertive kids who feel connected to you while maintaining your own sense. And then it's like a doctor promoting a doctor's book or something.
I agree.
What do you think about it, Jay?
I agree with that to an extent. I think the one thing that I think that what it's missing is that I think there can be times where is your kid being defiant with you, the parent, but then they're not with other people. Is it, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, this is something we're working on with my son, is like, he's tenacious as shit with us and he'll push and push and push. Not disrespectful, but he'll just keep going until, you know, he's trying to get the result that he wants, which I like. Can be tiring as shit, you know, right? But then I notice, you know, when we're able to observe how he is with other folks or friends, or that, you know, that tenacity or that kind of defiance sometimes goes out the window. And so,
which you want to see it with other people.
Yeah. So what we're trying to tell him is like, look, you know, because sometimes we'll just get enough is enough, and it's like, look, man, like, you know, this is wearing thin with us right now. It's like, flip that, take exactly what you're doing, but you need to do it with such and such, or, you know, whoever. Like, we're the ones who are here to help support you and give you guidance and be in your corner. You know, don't push us away by doing all this other stuff. Do it, you know, do it to some of these other folks. You know what I'm saying?
Keep that same energy, son.
Yeah. So I think that's been our challenge, is like, he's got it in him for sure. But how do you transfer that so that they do it to the folks that it's going to matter more with?
Yo, it is my biggest struggle, and the thing that I I can't say I'm always aware of it because my emotions get in the way sometimes when I'm like, I have the same issue with my son. My son is super intelligent, opinionated, can debate his ass off, and is always fighting for his way on whatever the situation is. And I love that about him generally. But he has a knack for not taking sage or logical advice on a particular thing that he's pushing for. He goes above and beyond and twists things to end up looking like what he's saying is the right way or the best way or what have you. And so that little twisting of things is where it kind of drives me insane. And my approach historically has been like almost like attack. Like if I'm talking to one of y'all, like somebody more close to my age, like I'm gonna approach the conversation with y'all a little bit more aggressively than I would with a child. But I find myself moving in that aggressive way when it turns to bullshit, basically. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, yo, you just went down bullshit lane. Like, that's not gonna stand. And here's why. And we get into this argument. And I look crazy, an old man with a little kid, like debating some dumb shit at the end of the day. And so I'm always trying to like, yo, you're fucking it up because you're dousing the flame that he has inside of him that this could be useful in the future.
Right.
And I'm struggling with how do I manage that so that it doesn't always come out as bullshit.
So
I don't know. What are you doing? It's a really like I think that's incredibly valuable advice. It's just so hard to execute. So you almost gotta like pick one thing.
The issue that I have with that advice, or just in general, that sentiment, is that my fear and my anger when it comes to my daughter disobeying or saying no or not doing what we're telling her to do is that, and I try to convey this to her, I'm doing this because I'm worried about your safety. And maybe right now what you're saying no to, or if you're not listening to me right this moment, might not have to do with safety, but it angers me because, and I use this example, and I think for a 4-year-old, she's just not getting it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to know that if you're playing in the street and I see a car coming and I tell you, come here now, that you immediately react, because I'm doing that for your safety. And for you to not listen to me in this moment, that has your safety is not at risk in this moment, but it's telling me that you're not going to listen to me in that moment. And that's what I'm fearful of.
Yeah, the listening is key. It's less, sometimes it's less of the arguing or the defiance or whatever. It's more of like, can you listen, especially when the time is of essence, when you need to listen.
Right. Like, you don't have to be happy about it. You could even bitch and moan about it as you walk to me or do what I tell you to do, but do it, and do it in that moment, because that's really my concern. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's wild. It's difficult.
It's hard shit, bro.
My daughter's, she's on one. I'll tell you that right now.
I got a question for you guys. Do either of you, like in the neighborhoods you live in, do your kids know any of the neighborhood kids? Do you have interaction with neighborhood kids at all?
I'll make mine swift because I'm sure Manny does barbecues with everybody. We know my daughter met one family with their kids, and they don't really play. They don't really hang out. They've maybe played once in the whole time we've been there. But she whines all the, God forbid we're going to leave the house or we're going to do something, and those kids are outside down the block. We're like trying to hide her from seeing them because
she wants to go play with them.
She'll be like, she knows their names. Like, she doesn't really know these people, right? But she remembers the kid's name, and she'll be like, can we go to so-and-so's house? I want to play with her. Let's drive by her house and see if she's outside. And I'm like, oh, you don't even know this person. What are you talking about? But so that's the extent of our interaction with our neighbors.
Yeah, ours is more based around school because they take the bus together. So that's how they kind of know each other and vibe off each other, but they don't necessarily hang out here. Our next door neighbor is the one that we'll do more hanging out with. But it's really limited. How's that going on your end?
I'm struggling because I'm pretty private in general, so I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be a little more understanding of like, all right, he's a kid, so he went out on his bike, there's some younger kids that live a couple doors down, made some initial friends with them, and nice kids. But then it's like the other day I'm just trying to figure out like, how do I set the boundaries of this is all new with like kids knocking on the door, can such and such come and play? Like the other day, so my son, he played with them the other day. They went out and did their thing and whatever, and he came back, and they came back the next day. My son was doing his homework. Knock on the door. I come over. I'm like, yeah, he's doing his homework. I said, well, we'll wait outside. I said, well, it's going to be a little while. So you go wait at your house and he'll come, he'll come if he's available to do it. Right. And then
you need a no loitering sign outside your house with a gun.
But they were still hanging out. Right. And then, so probably about 10 minutes later, they ring the doorbell again. Can he come out? Is he done yet? Can he come out and play?
Wow.
Like, no, he's got stuff to do. He'll come over to your house, and if he's able to hang out, right? Within the span of maybe 40 minutes, this happened 6 times.
Oh
wow.
Shit. Yeah, that's too much.
So I'm just like,
would you walk over to the house and be like, yo, excuse me, can you tell your kid to chill?
I didn't say anything. That I'm trying to, I talked to my wife, I told her, she's like, oh, that's cute that they want to, and I'm like, cute. I'm getting annoyed. Like it's cool. I'm glad that they like him and everyone's nice and all that stuff. But I'm just like, okay, if you're gonna, when you say I'll send him over if he's gonna,
right.
That was just bugged out to me, and so I'm conflicted because I'm just like, man, like we're new around here, whatever. I'm trying to be low key and chill about it, but at the same time, like, do you have to set up boundaries in terms of like, don't ring the bell 6 times? If he's gonna be able to play, he'll come in.
I think in that case, yes, I think you got to like set some sort of tone. But it's really challenging because you don't want to come off like the ogre on the block.
Right. And they're younger kids. They're younger than he is.
Oh, so yeah, and they're probably used to kids and families they've known forever that they feel more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if you become like the ogre
mean guy,
dad,
yeah,
they're not gonna mess with your son. They're gonna be like, yo, forget that kid. That kid's dad is
crazy.
Or
feel sorry for your son. Oh man,
right.
He's got rough over there.
Also. How's his transition been? Like, is he? I know it's like up and down, but some more up. And is he in sports yet?
Not yet, because they don't. Like in 5th grade, he can't. For under 5th grade, they don't. You can't get on the teams and stuff like that. So
right.
We just enrolled him they have like some separate basketball leagues for kids in the wintertime. So we just enrolled him in that outside of school. But it's just different. Like the stuff that he is into and kind of excelled at,
they don't have there.
It's not really, the kids aren't, at least these kids that were around, it's like they're not really interested in it. It's not something that they know about,
like skating and all that.
Yeah, they're not. So yeah. I'm even having a hard time. Like when I'm going around with, for these play dates and stuff like that, I'm like, man, like, what are we going to do for?
Are you feeling like guilty that you took him away from, like you've changed his future almost in a way?
I'm not going to say guilty, but I do feel for him in the sense of like, the kids just, culturally we're in a different, culturally it's different, right? And so
That's a nice way to put it.
He's trying to figure it out for sure, and we're trying to figure it out with him and kind of looking around like, all right, well, how do we maneuver him into stuff that is more his speed?
Are you guys ever feeling like outcast around some of these people? Do they look at you like, oh, these like big city weirdos?
Nah, I don't think. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know.
Sounds like you live in a like a rural farm area the way I described
Nah,
it.
no, it's just different
Howdy,
coast,
partner.
you know. So yeah, we're just trying to figure it out.
Hey, look, basketball is a very unifying sport, so I have hope that will be a jumping off point for him to like, find his way.
Yeah, I think it will be, but we'll see.
I heard badminton's pretty good.
Pickleball.
Yeah, that's hot right now. People
I know.
keep talking about that.
Really quick before we get out of here, we
really quick.
We had a recent episode that we filmed this week. I think Manny will probably like this, and you're wearing the hat though, okay? With Derek Jeter.
Yeah, son.
Yeah, and he do you know how old he is? I didn't ask him his age, but do you know more or less his age?
I think he's pushing 50. I think he's probably like 47, probably around your guys' age.
So he has 3 young kids.
I didn't know he had any kids. Well, actually,
Yes.
I knew about one little one.
He has 3 right now. They're I think 5 and under.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
When did he say he wanted to come on Fatherhoods?
never.
Oh.
I don't know. We'll talk to him about it later.
I think him and Kanye are coming on together.
Together
Yeah,
with Puff.
right. And Kevin
but
Hart.
he did say something kind of cool. Well, I asked him a question, like, whatever, a fatherhood type question, which is, did he purposely wait till after his baseball career to have kids? Because they're all young. And he said that he didn't do it purposely, but he did know that he was living in a selfish way for his career, at the time. So I feel like he kind of answered it, but he kind of, he gave a different, reasons, his family, whatever, his wife. But he also said something that I thought was good for me. And I was like, you see, N.O.R.E, like I'm trying to tell N.O.R E, like, you see, because N.O.R E likes to give me shit about that I don't do things because,
Right.
And I use my kids as an excuse.
Right.
Which is not an excuse. It's life. It's facts. He said something about, like, he was saying something to N.O.R E to the effect of, because we did the episode, we filmed with him at a restaurant and we started at noon. So he's like, yeah, when you got 3 young kids like me, all my my outings are around noon. And then I looked at him, I was like, you see, and then he's like, oh man, you shouldn't have said it around this guy, and I'm like, like it's easy for people who don't have young kids to forget that's or if, when N.O.R.E had his kids were young, he was a platinum artist touring a lot, but it's easy for a lot of people to forget that, and I felt comfort in him saying that.
Oh, vindicated.
Yeah.
That's dope. I'm looking forward to that one. That should be a good one. All right, gang.
All right.
Gang.
Gang. Catch y'all next week.
Peace out.
Later.